Okay, part two. Can't remember what the name of the thing is. Oh, God, I forgot. Preventing gun violence through effective messaging argument. Always draw distinctions between NRA officials and the organization's rank and file members. Oh, the old divide and conquer thing. I love that one. Okay, we're not talking about, Bill, Bob, Susie, and Mary. We're talking about those people behind up in the office. It's us against them. We're defending the Constitution, which protects our right to bear arms. Okay, argument. We're defending the pro-gun. We're defending the Constitution, which protects our rights to bear arms. Okay. The anti-gun answer. Maybe they missed the Declaration of Independence, which defends life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. First off, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence are two completely different documents. The Declaration of Independence was literally the declaration of our independence. This is us saying to the world we are an independent nation, separate from all other countries, and our founding principles. The Constitution of the United States is our law. It was the very first federal law. The one that governs all. Okay, so there are separate documents. And so you're telling me that you're going to take my gun away to protect my life, disarming me against criminals, denying me the liberty to own a gun, and denying me the right to pursuit of happiness of shooting historical firearms. Every day, more Americans fall victim to the NRA's extreme fear-based agenda. They want guns. They want any gun to be available to anyone, no questions asked. They want powerful military-style weapons to be in every community. Okay, first off, in the first video I talked about how they are playing on, use emotion. Use emotion, use emotion, use emotion. Now they're saying the NRA is playing on your fears. You're playing on my fears. Secondly, again, military-style weapons. I don't care what style of weapon it is. If you're trying to kill me, you're trying to kill me. And it's really interesting that they want any gun available to anyone, no questions asked. That's not true. That is not true. Okay, the NRA supports limitations on criminals not owning firearms. Drug addicts not owning firearms. Mentally ill not owning firearms. These are things the NRA and 90% of all responsible gun owners support. All this one. Don't hesitate to speak out. I like that one, and I believe it. Yeah, don't hesitate to speak out. Speak your mind, because I believe in your right to speech. Don't assume the facts, and don't wait for them. Don't assume the facts, and don't wait for them. That's basically saying, doesn't matter if you're right or not. So basically, try and change laws without knowing what you're doing. Wow. Ask hard questions. This is what, by the way, this is about tragedy. Okay, when a tragedy pops up. Okay, so don't wait for the facts when a tragedy pops up. Just start blabbing. Ask hard questions. Where did the gun come from? Did the shooter have to undergo a background check before he got the gun? Did the shooter have a permit for the gun? Did the shooter own more than one gun? Did he have the high-capacity magazines with him? How many rounds did he have on him? Did the shooter have to observe any kind of waiting period before he got his hands on the guns? Or did he get them right away, no questions asked? If a family member of mine was killed in a shooting like this, and you came up to me asking me these questions, I'm probably going to punch you right in your mouth. Okay? And I'm assuming that you're not talking about actually going up to a person and saying this to them, but out the media. Does it matter where the gun came from? Does it matter Did he run a background check? Does it really matter? Shouldn't you focus on more of like things like why this person killed a bunch of people? Because let me tell you something, and it has been experienced in the world. People will kill with anything. Anything. So maybe we should be more looking on preventing people from killing each other than what they're killing each other with. Here's a good one. Never apologize. I am sorry to anyone who watches this that has experienced any type of tragedy. I am sorry for your loss. I am sorry for your pain. And I am sorry for your suffering. I will apologize. I have no perfect example. I have no responsibility in hurricane hitting. Don't play with that. Okay? Stop that. Get away from there. Okay? I am still sorry that that event happened. I'm sorry. And I mean it. I don't care about any political debate or anything. I am sorry that you have experienced this tragedy. I am very sorry that my neighbor's house burned down and 90% of his possessions were destroyed. I'm very sorry that that happened. I will apologize because I am a caring human being. And to put that in there is just an insult to humanity. Challenge the NRA's silence. I like that one too. I love that one. You are being irresponsible because you're not exploiting this tragedy for your own means. That's what you're saying. Alright. Now we're talking about standard ground laws. The proponents call these statutes standard ground laws, but shoot first and kill at will laws are far more accurate and persuasive. If a phrase such as standard ground laws, oh, that's all I want to say. Never mind. So end with the persuasive. Again, the pro-gun groups are playing on your fears and stuff. But you're saying that these aren't standard grounds. These are kill everybody around you because you want to laws. Another phrase that we should avoid whenever possible is duty to retreat. It may be an established legal principle, but in the public square, it sounds weak and hard to defend. So, you don't want to say you have the right to stand your ground and fight against a criminal who's trying to kill you in public, but you don't want to say you should run away. Okay, then don't say anything. So-called standard ground laws recklessly distort these well-worn self-defense principles, creating situations where a person can escape legal responsibility for his actions simply by claiming that he felt threatened. First off, it doesn't change the self-defense statute. You still have to meet every criteria to defend yourself, regardless of where you are. Okay? I cannot legally kill you for standing in my living room holding a banana singing You're an Oscar Mayer Wiener. I can't do the same thing in a public park. I can legally shoot you dead for running at me with holding a butcher knife screaming I'm going to kill you in my living room and in a public park. All it is saying, all these laws state, is if you are being attacked in public and you meet every criteria to legally defend yourself with lethal force, you have the right to in public. That's all it's saying. But don't let fact get in the way. Emphasize that these laws escalate everyday conflicts into lethal events. First off, if that's true, how come you don't see it happening? How come you don't see in states that have standard ground laws arguments over a parking space turn into shootings? How come you don't see that? How come you don't see little disputes over a friendly game of poker becoming shooting matches? Because it didn't change anything about the laws of self-defense. Just where you are, you can use them, basically. Make it clear that shoot-first laws provide cover for gun-toting vigilantes. First off, there's a difference between a vigilante and a person going about his daily business. A vigilante is one who seeks out criminals on their own, completely separate from the law enforcement, to punish criminals. That's why you come up with that term, video vigilante, for people who go out and videotape criminal action. Okay? Because they are actually kind of varying into the vigilantism kind of field. If I'm walking to the store and a person comes out, pulls a knife out and says, "I'm going to kill you," I shoot them. That's not vigilantism. That's crime coming to me. I'm not going to it. It's coming to me. Big difference. But don't let barracks get in the way. No one can tell you that, argument points, no one can tell you that you have a duty to retreat when threatened by a murderer, rapist, or robber. Argument, I agree. No one has a duty to retreat if they've been cornered by a criminal. But if you can avoid confrontation, it's not just the legal right thing to do. It is by far the safest thing to do. I'm going to give in a little bit here. Okay, first off, we're not talking about being cornered. Okay, talking about walking down the street or so. If you can retreat safely, it is generally the safest thing to do to avoid confrontation for you. But let's say this. Let's say Mary is walking down the street and some guy steps out of an alley, pulls a knife, says, "I'm going to kill you, I'm going to rape you and kill you," and she runs away. Susie doesn't see this. Susie comes around the corner. Susie gets raped and killed. So yes, it's the safest thing for you, but it might not be the safest thing for somebody else. And sometimes, and this is going to sound crazy to a lot of these anti-gun people, you have to think of more than just you. Similar scenario. Mary's walking down the street. Guy steps out of the corner, pulls a knife, says, "I'm going to rape you and kill you." She pulls her gun out and kills him. Then Susie comes walking by. Susie only got to deal with that because Mary took care of it. That is the major thing about standard ground laws. Standard ground laws, when used to protect yourself, generally are protecting other people also. Emphasize background checks is one of the most powerful ways to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. As long as those dangerous people go to licensed FFL dealers to buy their firearms, which they generally won't do because they're criminals and crazy and stuff. So again, you're focusing on only people who are already obeying the law. Point out that background checks won't have their full impact until every gun sold in America is subject to a background check. Again, as long as the person who's buying the gun goes to a licensed dealer or goes through a licensed dealer. Again, you're not talking about people who are buying guns out of the back of a van in a seedy neighborhood in the middle of nowhere. You're talking about people going into gun shops, responsible adults who are obeying the law as already written. You're not talking about the criminals. Some arguments. This is just an effort to shut down gun shows, the place where Second Amendment defenders can meet and connect and mobilize. What we want to see is an end to gun shows being shopping bazaars for criminals, terrorists, and seriously mentally ill. For those of you who have never been to a gun show, the last time I went to a gun show, I didn't count them, but I guarantee you there was probably at least 30 or 40 uniformed police officers. Full uniform. I saw at least 2, what I think were ATF agents. I didn't really get to see their badge. But there were 2 people who had federal-looking badges and polos and stuff, walking around with their holstered weapon and a badge on. Okay? There is probably, I'm going to at least assume that there's probably at least 2 or 3 undercover, or not really undercover, plainclothes agents walking around looking at the various guns and stuff like that. To like, hey, this guy over here has a funky looking, looks like he's selling machine guns. Send the uniform boys over. So, now granted, a lot of criminals, terrorists, mentally ill people can look like regular old people. But you're telling me that a guy with 14 felony convictions is going to walk into a place full of cops, full of armed citizens, people who support and defend the right to keep bear arms, and try and do something illegal. I think it's really funny that if that ever happened, far worse than the courts, the cops should just say, you know what, I'm not going to arrest you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have you stand right here at the exit with a sign that says, I'm a criminal, I tried to harm the Second Amendment, and let every responsible gun owner slap you on their way out. Because that guy's going to be missing some teeth. I have never once, in many years of going to gun shows, seen somebody be arrested, heard about somebody being arrested, trying to buy illegal weapons, trying to buy guns without doing a background check from a licensed dealer, or anything like that. I mean, it's just one of those things you don't hear about. Why? Maybe because it never happens. Anyway, carrying on. Now again, more arguments. Don't fool yourself. Most criminals don't go to gun shows to get their weapons. According to an ATF study, 30% of guns involved in federal trafficking investigations are connected to gun shows. That's something we need to bring to an end. Okay, let me explain some technical things, because apparently these people do not wait for the facts. Let me get a gun to show you. No magazine, chamber's empty. Let's say this gun was stolen from me, and it was later recovered. Where's the serial number on this? There it is. So what they're going to do is when they recover it, they're going to run that serial number and say, oh, this gun was reported stolen. That is one of the 30% of guns involved in federal trafficking investigations that they're talking about. Okay? It's a very misleading thing, because guns that are being... or trafficking, my fault. Trace and stuff like that are not necessarily being used in the commission of a crime. They're generally stolen and being returned to the original owner. Okay, so I kind of screwed up on that one, but still. How many of those 30% were released through Fast and Furious? Okay, I'm going to do part 3, I guess.